We're here.
We're here. Welcome in, everyone. Armchair Refugees podcast. Ted here. John here. How do we get the media? There we go.
I fixed it.
We fixed it. We fixed it. He fixed it. Welcome in, everyone. Armchair Refugees podcast. Ted here. John here.
That's
nice
going to be great only for the video people and literally all the audio. Whatever.
Let me hear me just inhale. We got our producer in the background. I'm sure I'll figure out a way to edit it to make it look nice. Anyway, guys, how you doing? We're back a little bit later than usual. Obviously DC have a game tomorrow, which we'll talk about maybe a little bit on the Patreon show, some of our expectations for that. But obviously a little bit later, we, both, John and I have been dealing with the weather.
It was the movie Twisters in both Fredericksburg and Stafford and Richmond this week.
Yes.
So we decided to stay in the hurricane cellar and just wait it out.
Yeah. I lost power, which was fun. And lost power for longer. It went out, I'd say about 9 p.m. and then wasn't restored until about 2-3 o'clock next day.
So it was toasty in the house. Then it was a good 76 degrees in the house.
Yeah. Thankfully they're in-laws. I was also dog sitting, two in-laws dogs. So we had no power throughout the night and 2 dogs. Both of my dogs are kind of like just whatever around thunder. These dogs were sufficiently freaked out by the thunder. Okay. So yeah, fun times. But John, hopefully we canceled the show in anticipation there might be some power loss. So
it was flickering, and then my internet started to flicker as well. I was like, you know what's the worst thing that we've done before is try to do shows in storms where the internet keeps going out and we keep trying to push through it, and some people stick with us and some people don't. So I just figured that this would make the most sense. We'll just push it a day. And now here we are. With good internet and no storms.
And good soccer, to talk about, maybe? I don't know,
certainly
man.
Soccer.
Certainly there was a game of soccer. DC United 1-1 draw against the Montreal Impact. Another come from behind draw. They are 10th draw, I believe, on the season. Was it 9th or 10th?
We'd love to tie.
I need to go look at the actual, there is a record. I remember Chicago winning it a few years ago about like having the most draws. So I'd be curious to know what that letter is. Yes, ninth draw of the year. Still in the playoff spot. 3 points clear of Orlando. There were a lot of other teams that did some losing. So they are still right into the thick of things. How do we feel about this game, John? Do we feel good? What do we feel?
I think it was a game that we wanted to win. We continue to look at Montreal as an inferior opponent. And when we so often are looking at teams above us on the table, and we're like, oh, we just want to compete. A draw would be great here. Eventually you have to play a team in which a win would be good here. And Montreal looked like one of those teams, but it appears that we match up very poorly with this team. Somebody else I was reading ahead of time that our record all time against Montreal is 11 wins for both clubs. So it's not as easy a slam dunk as you'd think, either historically or recently. So, it was not a 4-4, sort of disaster class in defending, this time, but it also was not really anything to write home about. I think we had an interesting lineup situation. Yep. We had a coach who was ill and not around. I don't know. I think on the road, even against Montreal, you still wanted to see a win there, but they just did not look like that was going to happen. This team did not seem offensively cohesive enough of a way to really punish. And really, Sean Johnson, once again, I think bailed out DC United on quite a few occasions. It should have probably been a loss.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because it is on the road. So a draw generally on the road is good. As has been talked about, this team has the toughest, remaining schedule heading into the break. So you've got to look at games where you can pick up 3 points. And so this is a game, despite being on the road, you would want to be able to go out and get 3 points.
What was the number for draws, by the way, for DC United? You said so
9.
So the record is 18.
Okay.
It's been matched twice, most recently by Nashville in 21. So it's feasible. It's certainly not impossible.
It's certainly feasible. I think there's, it's a draw. It's disappointing from a team, but I think in the way the team played to pick up a point in this game, also you got to look at it and say, well, hey, they did a decent job. And there certainly were some nice little like wrinkles for this team kind of moving forward that brings some positivity. I don't think it was a completely negative game. We talk about the defensive situation, Kye Rowles being out with an injury, Lucas Bartlett being
out for suspension. Yeah.
For suspension on yellow cards. And that basically sets it up to where you have a choice on what you're going to do with center back. And Renee Weiler / the assistant coach, whose name escapes me at this point, Whether that was discussed, but I have to think that was discussed ahead of time. Like, here's what we're going to do with this situation. It was decided to put Sean Nealis and Matti Peltola in the defensive third.
How bad is Markovic in training at center back? How bad is he? Is he as bad as Caden Clark is at whatever Caden Clark does? What's the deal here exactly, you think?
I feel like it's a situation where I think he likes Markovic. I do think he likes Markovic. I think it's a case of still we've seen a propensity of this guy to, with young players or new arrivals, maybe he's still just like, I don't want to throw this guy out there. We saw the way he slow walked Luis Montano into the starting lineup. I don't think maybe this is a similar case, but also I think it's also, you play Markovic there, then you're going to play Cervania. I do think he does look for, I think the idea behind Peltola there is Rawls provides a lot of sort of passing out of the back, provides a lot of sort of ability to push forward, to sort of provide a little bit of a press in that third. And I'm not sure he really thinks Markovic would give you that. I mean, that's why you have Peltola starting there, because he can sort of provide that. The downside to Peltola is his backtracking and being that kind of last man in the defense, not his strong suit. No. I think he can work as a center back, but you have to make sure there are other pieces around him to do that sort of last man defending. Personally, I saw the lineup and I thought I don't think this is a 4-4-2. I think this is a 3-5-2 with Hefty, Peltola and Sean Nealis kind of on that back line with, really Hefty and Sean Nealis being kind of the real true like center backs here. And it was really not that case. It was a 4-4-2 in the block. The 3-5-2 is where you saw it kind of maybe spread out a little bit. Maybe you saw Kurokawa kind of push forward. You also saw Kamino Nono kind of push forward as well. So I think that was an interesting move. And I think, again, I think defensively Peltola is poor, but I think there were still some moments offensively where I think his passing helped get the team into position where they could kind of push forward a little bit. So
I still think it's certainly not it's not an optimal. Again, and never, I think, we said this at the beginning of the year, like, if this is happening, someone's hurt or someone's suspended, something is bad. And that was the case for both. I'm hoping that Kye Rowles is more healthy. Bartlett is obviously back on Wednesday. But it's, I don't know, man. I was concerned with that when I saw it. And I did not see a lot. I think against a team that was more clinical, a team with a more cohesive offense, I think this would have been a much uglier scoreline. There's still, it remains the fact that I think we should just sign Owusu so he doesn't play against us anymore. I think we should figure out how much that costs, make it happen. What did you think about, Nono's game? I mean, put the assist on one hand and then put the rest of his performance on another hand. I want to see where you land.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of the performance that you would hope for from a guy that you're getting in, first game. So there were some rough moments. I felt maybe some passes that weren't quite there. But it was kind of a performance of, I feel like this is kind of the one signing. It's like, we've all, for generally loved Kurokawa, even though I think he had probably his worst game ever in a DC United uniform.
Yeah. Floyd Sam clowning on him hard on his service, which thank you. I've been saying that now for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I mean, he can do the long throw. But man, dude, what was it? That, free kick they had sort of outside the box and then the absolute horrid cross that he put in. I don't know what he was trying to do there. But I think this is kind of what you expect from kind of a Japanese best 11 type player. You would hope you would get this type of performance from him. So I thought he was really solid. It certainly brings sort of a new wrinkle to this team. It shifted Jackson Hopkins out left, which he had some rough moments in the final third, but some interesting wrinkles. But, I want to get your thoughts on Nono before maybe I talk a little bit about that.
He certainly does not appear to be like a right winger type of player. Like he looks like he could play right midfield in the situation that this was in, a game in which we were going to have 40% of the ball. A game we're on the road. He doesn't seem like a burner winger kind of guy. So I don't know, like, when he gets deployed as a right midfielder again, like, cause Hefty, I think is still the number one choice. I think that will not change. So like, I think maybe you see Nono, even though he's the best 11 Japanese player, depending on, I think like it's going to be like a tactile usage. Maybe I'm wrong. It was a first performance and we'll see going forward. I just not see like I was surprised that Jackson Hopkins was a much better dribbler and much more able to get to the end line than Nono was. I don't really know. I'm not unfamiliar with his game. The cross was great. The assist was good. It was put in the right spot, but that aside, I think if you compare his first performance to a bunch of other, like you were saying before, like Hefty's first game, like Kurokawa's first game, you had all these players come in and just sort of hit the ground running. Like Lewis, probably the one exception of those players, but everybody else was just like, all right, I got this, no problem. So I'm keeping an eye on it. I'll be interested to see like what he looks like in a game where we expect to have most of the ball, a game that we think that we're going to dominate or hope to dominate.
Obviously this is a 3-game week. So
we'll see a little bit of everybody this week.
Yeah, we could see some suffering, some shuffling around the lineup. I'm curious.
Suffering also. That was a good Freudian slip. We might see some suffering as well. Shuffling and suffering.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, Peltola going a full 90. I don't know what that means for his performance. You have Cervena, Dozel, and Peltola both going a full 90. I'm not sure what that means for them, particularly those are still your 3 only center midfielders on this team. I don't know. Maybe there's a certain French star coming in to this team.
God, I hope not.
We all hope not. I'm starting to cool a little bit on it, and I think that's been a good thing. But yeah.
By the way, speaking of suffering and shuffling, I believe João Peglo is unavailable on Wednesday. He's injured.
He is injured. Okay. Mm-hmm. He was on the bench, wasn't he?
He was. Cody Mizell, by the way, is the assistant coach that he did the presser after, and I believe that might have been the guy on the sidelines. I'm not sure. It's weird. By the way, it is weird to me. I have known and this maybe this is me. This is self-own that I'm doing here. I could have told you the entire coaching staff of any other coach that we've had here. I don't know, Rene. I don't know. Did Rene hire his own assistant coaches, or did he just roll in and just like
probably his own assistant coach? Probably his own assistant coach. I guarantee you, with the it's very interesting that Cody Mizell was the one that got thrown to that, not the assistant coach. I guess there was maybe, I don't know, language barrier type thing, or I don't know.
Cody's the goalkeeper coach, right?
Yeah, he's the goalkeeper coach. And I didn't realize that when I started. It's very funny. Like I could have known that Rene wasn't going to be there because they sent the press release out. And I didn't even register with me. I was like, oh, here's the post-game conference I'm going to join. And I tried to figure out, like, how you can ask these questions. And there, to the credit, some of the reporters asked questions about the game and everything and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, you're not going to get, maybe you don't get anything usable out of Rene, but you're certainly like,
you're right. Out of the state secrets are going to slip out of the goalkeeper coach.
Yep. Yeah. But I want to talk a little bit about Jackson Hopkins. Going back a little bit to the game,
mm-hmm.
a interesting performance out on the left. I am curious to see more of it. The final third was not great with him. He had a lot of times where he got the ball. He did so well to sort of create space, to dribble around players, to put himself in a position where all he has to do is kind of hit that final pass and DC are on the break. I think we talk about the players. Where does Jackson Hopkins fit as far as like the young players? Because he is a young player. He's 22. Where does he kind of fit as far as those younger players? And I say, like, that a player that can hit those types of passes is probably already getting talked about and going to Europe. Jackson Hopkins has shown maybe he's not there yet. I think it's early to call it a complete, that he can't develop that later on. There's a lot of players that are late bloomers. But it was very interesting to see him on the left because I think what it allowed him to do, first of all, I think it allowed him to sort of cut inside. I think it opened up an opportunity if Kurokawa is more, on form, that he can sort of sweep around the left, provide a little bit more width. And DC can kind of overload, like, play that sort of 3-5-2, which I think is what they were trying. I think that was the overall goal, was in possession. They were trying to play sort of a 3-5-2 with Hefty, Peltola, Nealis, kind of sort of anchoring that back line and then allowing Kurokawa to kind of push forward and create an overlap with, Hopkins kind of creating an underlap and getting more central. And I thought Hopkins, for most of all, looked comfortable kind of in that role, kind of playing more of a role where he sort of cuts inside. So, I think there will be moments where he is on it, where he has like on-time passes, on-time movements. We got a show question here from Rufus Firefly. Says, I see Jackson Hopkins as a limited bench player, quick first step, good on the dribble, but slow over distance, ponderous on defense, and generally poor decision-making in the final third. Am I missing something? I think he was poor in this.
I only agree with the end of that. The only thing I can say for sure I agree with is poor decision-making is certainly what I think that is his biggest thing that he can't overcome is that's the thing he's struggling most with. He's been given opportunities now by 3 head coaches for a reason, because he has, and also if you compare, you mentioned like, so where does he fit in on the young player side? Think about the young players that we've had. He's giving Kevin Paredes minutes. They're giving him a lot of opportunities. They're giving him opportunities in all parts of the field. They're playing him in places they've never played before, trusting him to start, even with, injuries potentially. Like Peltola might have been holding a knock. Who knows? To get that left midfield start. He has a lot of really good gifts, that I think that we lack. 4 dribbles in this game, didn't turn the ball over, or like he did turn the ball over, but like it was all up until the end where you would be like, this guy, to your point about Europe, it's that one thing that's keeping him from there.
Yeah.
If he can figure that out, he's gone. And I just don't know, 22 is young in the overall scheme of things, but he's been at this level now for like 3 or 4 years with different coaches. Maybe some consistent coaching. If Rene doesn't leave or get fired in the next year or two, like maybe he gets an actual like 24 months in a row of the same sort of voice on the training field trying to teach him how to go. Because he obviously doesn't. We've seen how Rene treats players he doesn't trust and hates. They don't play or they get left, and he gets to play all the time. So obviously he's got something.
And I think those notions of how he plays and what he provides sort of on the ball, the dribble, the movement, I think with Rene, there's a certain sense of, as long as you're sort of playing for the collective and you're playing for the team, and you're contributing in those moments, and maybe it's not all quite there, you're going to get moments and you're going to get opportunities to start.
Yeah.
So I think that was in my mind, I think that's kind of why he's been out there. I think personally the team should stick with him. I think there are plenty of opportunities to say that he could, pick it up. You've got him now on a U22 deal. He's not going to count much against the cap. Obviously I think you look every part of the field now, except maybe striker, every part of this field, I think you can look for ways to improve this team.
Mm-hmm.
This team is certainly better. They're fighting for position. I want to talk a little bit on the Patreon show, like how we're overall, like what is the vibe and how do we feel? Because, quite frankly, this team has been in this position before. They've been in a position over the past 2 years where they've been 8th, 9th. They've been in that playoff spot. Things are kind of rolling and it just doesn't quite come together in the end. And then everything just kind of collapses around it. So, how are we feeling about this? Do we think, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. There's also a lot of reasons to maybe, not be, to recognize that maybe this is still DC and they're still going to do something. They're going to be Homer Simpson, get ready everybody. He's going to do something stupid type thing.
They've told us, the good doctor has told us that their plan is to have 2 players in every position that it's able to start. And what if you look at the starting 11, what if they have that, but these are all the second players of those 2. These are all other than up front and in the back with Sean and Kurokawa and Hefty. I think everywhere else you're like, okay, you guys would all be really good backups. Like you guys would all be great number 2s. Or you all have, I think when I look at this roster, I think what I see is, and I don't want to call it like, it's not the island of misfit toys. It's not that at all. It seems like every single one of these players has a easily identifiable weakness that makes them not a complete player. Like there's something in their either makeup or in the way they play, or there's a skill that's missing where you're like, if you had just figured that one thing out, then you'd be here. And I think if you're looking at a team like DC United in the position they were in last year with the permanent turmoil that goes on in the front office and in player acquisitions, like it would make sense that you're not getting the complete article, in all these cases. But I feel like that's kind of what hold us back. It's you can look at any of these players long enough, other than like the ones we've identified, and be like, yeah, I think the other team's going to see those things too. I think those other teams are going to they're going to give Jackson Hopkins an opportunity to chop it up on the wing. Think young Ronaldo, but maybe not as good at all. But similarly situated, like I could dribble past anybody. And then I know if they just like sort of back off in the final third, like watch out, he's going to do something stupid. He's going to make a bad pass here because we've given him too much freedom now. So, that's not easily addressable, but I think that this is, I hate that I'm going to say it again. The floor is higher. We've gotten the bench is better. There's actually players that I see on the bench like, oh yeah, we should put him in. That might help. That might change things. That would be good.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, I'll get to the subs first. I do want to talk about. Let's talk Stan Johnson. We haven't really talked about him.
We also didn't talk about Jackson Hopkins' yellow card for the dive.
Oh, for the dive. Yeah, I don't know if we want to.
I know he wouldn't want to talk about
it came from a great move around the back. And it's just like in the final third, I think he was maybe a little surprised that worked. And then it's like, and then it's like,
whoops,
play that quick pass, play that, look up, play that quick pass. You got around him. Honestly, if you played that quick pass and it didn't come off, it probably still would be something, to look at. So, but yeah, that bad dive. But let's talk Sean Johnson. A really, really good performance from him.
8 saves.
Again,
expected
some of
goals faced 2.2.
Yeah, 2.2. Goals prevented 1.23. I think his best performance of the year. I think he is proving to be, in my mind, I think it's everything you would want. Again, I think you look at those shot, he didn't have to make like sort of a diving save. It was very quick sort of reflex type saves. Still, he had to go to make them very easily. Like the fact that, the only goal in this game came on a PK, which by the way, Kurokawa, we talk about Kurokawa's worst performance. I mean,
boy, that was a double handball. It's bad when you do it once, but
I will give him like it's an unfortunate situation that he gets kind of bumped and he kind of like throws his hands up, and then it's like at that moment the ball like smacks his hands, and it's like, yeah, there's not much you can do about that. That's a PK. There's really nothing else you can really do to argue that. But the fact is, this Owusu had moments. I think again against a better team, you're probably right. This is maybe a rougher night. But he does go in and make the saves, and these are the types of moments that this is why you signed him. Like this is what you were hoping to get out of him. And I think that's really been the difference this year. Dozell, story's still out. Kurokawa had a bad performance, but overall, like he's been an improvement out there on the left. Yeah. As far as that left, and
left
now
we definitely do not have a backup.
Yeah. And we'll get to that. We'll get to Patreon. That's Patreon. We're going to shift it.
It's called tease.
Yeah. We're going to shift that to Patreon. Because everybody knows the news and maybe what it means. But, you look at the signings. I think this has been everything you have sort of hoped for. DC has, after the biggest thing you could argue about DC was not that they spent money. It's that they would sign players and they would just literally bomb. That is why the previous regime lost their job so quickly, because the players that they signed, hardly any of them have worked out. Now, some of them have kind of worked. You can argue Peltola certainly started to show something. Cervenia's out there starting. Kijima, Stroud still out there playing, but very clearly they're looking for maybe some other options there. Joao Peglo has been starting, but none of those players I think have come off in the way and have really sort of shifted this team from being bottom tier to where they are right now, like you said, raising that floor than some of the signings that they've had sort of right now with Sean Johnson, with Rebo, Luis Montano a little bit less. But that's Sean Johnson fits into that category. And a lot of was made about, his stats and like last year was an off color year. I'd be curious to know where that stands right now, because he's been solid. He's been excellent. Goalkeepers are funny creatures. They can play a lot longer than other players out there. So be curious to see though. I think this is where I'm going to get into like, you have a good goalkeeper and we look in the future because we're going to do that. What is there a moment where it kind of does fall apart? 37, he could still be just as good at 38 and 37. He could also fall off a cliff. So don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
I'm just very happy that we've gotten him. I think, I think there's positives about Grant Leveille. We can't see him because we don't have an MLS Next Pro team, or he's not on loan. So we don't know, but they've certainly seemed to think he's a option for the future. And I think that this is other than the number 9 position, this is our most sorted out depth situation, top to bottom, 1 to 4, feeling good about it. And they've done that for not a whole bunch of money, and they outsmarted the league. I think people thought, maybe it was like they either were like on Moneyball, they were like looking at these stats and being like, these stats have to be lies or something else. And everyone else was just too smart to make this easy call. Like, oh, his stats are really good and he's been good for a long time. We should sign him. Everyone's like, they're making a mistake.
Yeah. And look at Miami's situation right now with Dane Sinclair, goalkeeper of the year, and he's not starting. And you have another keeper out there who has literally had now 2 goals that have made the highlight reel. And it's Miami, man. Any other team in the league has a goalkeeper like this, probably not going to make the front page news because it's Miami making the front page news. So, I don't know. Maybe they would take
a third stringer.
Was it Luis Barraza?
It's time. Give him a chance. Make him famous.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Dwayne Sinclair would fit very well within this team and the way it plays. So be a interesting.
Yeah, maybe we're like the distressed asset goalkeeper acquirers. Like, well, I'll take them off your hands for you if you want.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some competition, if particularly if Grant's still a few years off from being ready, I don't know. I would think about it. If I was DC, but I think another
Jordan Farr
team
will be moved into the ticket sales marketing department next year.
Yep. Or back to USL, which he might.
Or back to USL if he wants to play.
Sure. He probably wants to play. I think he still wants to play. So, anything else we want to break down from this game? Anything else we want to discuss?
I don't really think so. I think that this was frustrating. On the whole, Owusu again continues to be scary. He would have, I think if he didn't shoot directly at John Johnson 2 other times, he'd had a hat trick once again. I am glad that we don't have to play him anymore for this season. I am concerned about, I don't know. I think that going on the road with this setup against a team that you're better than is, I think, is something to look at. Like I said, the strength of schedule is not going to get any easier. This might have been our good on the road win chance, and it didn't pan out, and we never looked like it was even really remotely possible. So, just something. It's not a microcosm of the entire season, and it's not the telling of how the rest of this week is going to go. But I'll be really hoping that we get points. I hope we get all 3 points on Wednesday, regardless of any injuries or unavailabilities.
Next game's coming up. Home against New England, road against Charlotte, home against LAFC, road against Cincinnati, home against Columbus, home against Atlanta United, and then home against Charlotte. So kind of a tough stretch there coming up for this team. Your home games, funny enough, I think your games are against teams that are lower than you in the division, but they're also teams that are improving. Atlanta United trying the 5th time's the charm with a big name striker signing. Columbus looks like they are a team that's sort of been remade and reborn. They have I believe a number 10, Blaise Martin. I want to say his name. I'm gonna make sure I get his name right, but he's apparently been playing really well. So this is going to be a tough stretch as I try to find out the player. Blaise Mendez, the number 10 they've signed, is apparently really shot off, and a player I kind of wish DC would go get, because chance creation's still an issue. So, all right. Ranger in the Wild, we got a question here. Is the Baltimore Stadium deal dead after not receiving support from the General Assembly? I know we're all wanting an MLS Next Pro team. You're our government expert. Is it?
That is me. That is my professional job. Certainly not dead. It could be it was the end of, I believe, a 2-year. I think they don't have a carryover. So I think they'll have to reintroduce it. I don't think it's dead by any stretch of the means. But it's certainly very far from being reality. And the longer, look at, the effort to move the Caps to Virginia, there's always a rush to it. And the reason there's always a rush to it is because the more scrutiny it gets, the less likely it gets done. But I think that they'll go back again next year, give it a shot and see how they go. Baltimore will have lost the Commanders. So there's certainly going to be a desire to do something.
Commanders. Maryland will have lost the Commanders.
That's what I said. What did I say? You said
Baltimore will have lost the Commanders, and I say Maryland.
Maryland did, yes.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be one of those things. We're still waiting on the whatever alliance the MLS Next Pro team has. I mean, I think I saw the bond. So the bonds are dead. That would have, I think, maybe fast tracked it a little bit. We'll see. I don't know that there's much else really to, it's going to go, the Z's over the stadium, I think, are kind of there for now until they give it another shot. I could see them if they get this rush season, they got another opportunity in Baltimore and they got Miami coming to town. I bet they'll put another game at M&T Bank Stadium. So, for that.
That's right. They've got to build that Maryland DC United alliance they're trying to build. What was that? What was the marketing slogan about United?
I forget.
Maryland United.
It feels forever ago.
It does feel like forever ago.
All right. I think that's going to do it. We're going to go to the Patreon show. We're going to preview a little bit of the upcoming week, talk some roster stuff, some roster moves, other sort of things. Also, we got some Patreon questions that are coming through the show. So definitely want to stick around for that. So if you're the Patreon show, $5 tier or higher, stick around. If you're on the free tier, hope you enjoyed listening to the show. We'll be back next week talking 2 games, a lot of other content too.
And, I may be at the game tomorrow night. So if I am, come say hi.
Yes, absolutely. If you're, again, Patreon, stick around, free show. We'll catch you next week. Vamos.